where were we?
Oh, the young ones.
The young ones. So we did the young ones, which was a big success. It was a smash hit, in fact. And then it was followed by Summer Holiday, which was even bigger hit. And the kids today weren't even born when we did it, who know it backwards and inside out, every song from it. So I continued to do theatre, television, film, radio. And I suppose the busiest periods were from the 60s, 70s and 80s. And then, of course, I got involved because of doing it in our Pop Mum with pantomimes. I mean, in those days, pantomime used to be variety artists. And then it was television faces. And now it's anybody that will bring money into the box office that didn't have anything whatsoever to do with show business.
Right, yeah.
I mean, the reality, I mean, I have a quote years ago which it stood by me, and that was when I started on television. Television was Joe Public sitting at home watching professionals, and now it's out of work professionals sitting at home watching Joe Public, because there's so many Joe Public shows. You don't have to have any talent. And when I started, all I wanted, and I've always all I wanted, was to act. I just enjoy acting. But today, people want to be famous.
Yeah.
They want to be famous. They don't care how they're famous. They'll go on, what's his name, in the morning, where he's rude to everybody. What's his name?
Simon Cowell.
Yeah, Jimmy. I mean, what is fight to be on that program? I mean, I met some people. I was doing, about a year or so back, I was doing a cruise, right? It was, I mean, I had to do an hour spot and that sort of thing. And I met a couple. I said, "Oh, great, what did you do?" And they said, "We were on the only way." I said, "Oh, that's nice." They said, "Yeah, we're extras, and we sit in the background." She said, "What happens is the phone goes and they say, 'Could you be in Birmingham by 8 o'clock tomorrow morning?' And we'll go. So we don't get paid, and we don't get any expenses. Sometimes if you're lucky, you get a cup of tea." That was a true story. That's Joe Public spending their own money to be on television, to sit in the background. It's very sad, isn't it?
It is, yeah, it is. So, the passing It Ain't Our Fault, Mum, how did all that come about?
Meet the gang, 'cause the boys are here, the boys to entertain you, with music and laughter to help you on your way, to raising the rafters with a hey, 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 the songs and sketches and jokes old and new. With us about, you won't feel blue. So meet the gang, 'cause the boys are here, the boys to entertain you.
Well, I was unemployed, and so I got a job teaching at Italia Conti, the drama school, right? My pupils were like a 13-year-old Leslie Ash, a lot of kids who were sort of became names and things. And I didn't know what I was doing. I was sort of hanging on by the seat of my pants. And one day, one of the teachers said to me, I mean, I was only earning, I think, 10 quid a day. I did 3 days a week or something, and teaching them. How can I teach anyone to act? I never had an acting lesson in my life. I did it. And people like Leslie Ash, if you ever read her book, she says, my favourite lessons were with Melvyn Hayes. He taught me how to act. And I did love him because he was smaller than me. So from that, one of the teachers said to me, my husband is doing a pilot for a new TV series. You'd be marvellous in it. And I said, what's it called? She said, well, at the moment, the working title is It Ain't Our Pop Mum. She said, and there's a character called Gloria, and you'd be wonderful. And so I went on to see David Croft and Jimmy Perry. And Jimmy asked me so many questions about all sorts of things. And David, who I had worked for before, just said one question. All he said to me was, could you just lift your hair off your forehead, please? And I did. He said, fine. So a couple of years after we'd been in the show, they did This Is Your Life on David Croft. And what had happened, I said, the reason why I asked you to do that was because I wanted to see whether you were combing your hair forward, whether you were bored. Because if it was a success, I didn't want sort of old men coming in and then being too old for it all.
Mm.
So as I stood watching him on This Is Your Life, I said to him, and I showed him, I said, look, it hasn't changed. It's only worked. But, so no, that was an amazing success.
Mm.
I mean, I've done all sorts of crazy things that have become sort of cult things. Like, I did a TV series called The Double Deckers.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
I played the character of Albert. I co-wrote the title song. I was dialogue director. I wrote some of the episodes. And I earned about 4 pence. And then I did a cartoon series called Super Ted.
Mm-hmm.
Remember Super Ted?
I do, yeah. I didn't realise you'd done all those because I did a bit of research, and you did quite a few TV shows, didn't you? Just as a voiceover.
I did hundreds of television shows.
Yeah.
One of my most famous ones was one called Sir Yellow, a sitcom, which was voted the worst sitcom ever made. So the first episode went out Friday night at 7:30. The second one went out at 1 o'clock in the morning on Sunday morning, and the rest of them never hit the screen. Mm-hmm. So that was so when they came to do This Is Your Life on me from the London Palladium, Jimmy Edwards, who I'd worked opposite with in that series, came on and said, I nearly ruined your career, didn't I? No, it's, I mean, like I said, a lot of why these facts are sort of foremost in my mind, because like I say, I've been writing my book now for 32 years.
Yeah.
I'm up to 1961.
Right.
But I'm only taking it up to 1980 when they did This Is Your Life. So I've worked it out. As it's taken me 32 years, I'll be 140 when I finished it. So there you go. But I'm not interested in publishing it. It's just so that when I'm older, or when I'm gone, my kids can look at it and say, oh, that's what Dad did. I never knew what he did when he went out.
So what was it like working on It Takes Our Fortman? Was it quite a fun show to do?
Oh, yes. It was great because you're in the hands of, I mean, I think it was, David Croft, I think, was a genius. I mean, he'd come to rehearsals and he'd sit and laugh. And he'd laugh each day when he'd heard the joke a dozen times. So you still thought you were being funny. And Jimmy Perry, the writer, never seen anything like it, came to every rehearsal. He was there all the time. There was a program on the other night about Jimmy and David, and it was so accurate. It was so, I mean, like, I didn't realize that when they tested a run-through of Dad's army, it was so bad that he hid the report so nobody could see it. Otherwise, the show would never have gone on the air. But doing It Ain't Our Fault, Mum, I always thought he should have got an award just for the set, because it always looked so hot.
Yeah.
It always looked so hot, and before every take, they would spray a solution of water and glycerine on us, on our backs, and on our chests, and on our faces. They said, that's all we got going for us, because if we'd have been out there filming in that country, in the war, within 30 seconds, you'd have been soaking wet. So so it was all based on reality. And the saddest thing is that it'll never be repeated in this country. I mean, at the moment, it's showing in New Zealand, sold in Australia, Dubai, Hong Kong. It's all over the bloody Holland, and yet not in this country. For a couple of reasons. One, because the sergeant called us pups, and the other is because a white man played a black man.
Oh, Michael Bay's?
Yeah.
Is that the only hat you've got, Gunner?
Yes, Sergeant Major. It's MO's orders. It protects my head from the sun. I've got very thin skull bones.
Well, you know why that is, don't you?
No.
You've got such a huge brain. It's rubbing on the inside and wearing your head out. So funny. Mr. La-di-da Gunner Graham. You wouldn't know the difference if I climbed up your nostrils and kicked your brains out. But there's one thing you've got to remember, lovely boy. When you were up there in Burma wading through swamps, with slant-eyed Japanese waiting for you behind every tree, Your university education won't do you much good up there, will it?
No, Sergeant Major.
No, Sergeant Major.
I know, boy. I had 2 years up in that jungle, playing hide and seek with those sons of the rising sun. And I am going to make sure that you, and the rest of you, puffs, end up right there. Oh, I know you're the Colonel's favourites, but he's only got to take one step outside this camp, and I'll have you on that train and up the jungle so fast your feet won't touch the ground!
Yeah.
Who was born in India. I was in the, spoke Urdu fluently, and there was an actor who said, an Indian actor who said at the time, you should have got an Indian actor to play it, until he saw Michael Bates play the part, and said, no, none of us could have done it so well.
Mm.
And, I mean, David and Jimmy, right up to their deaths, were trying to get it repeated.
Mm.
They said, you know, another generation should have had a chance to see it. I mean, Dad's Army just goes out relentlessly every week.
Yeah.
And it has been for years. Every Saturday about 7:30, Dad's Army's on BBC One. And we never got a repeat. But that's how it goes, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it? Because I mean, I've never really liked Dad's Army, to be honest. I always thought that...
No.
No.
I mean, the point is, once you've seen it, you've seen it.
Yeah.
And David and Jimmy said their favourite show was It Ain't Our Problem.
Mm.
That was out of all their shows, because they both were in the army, and both, they ran concert parties, and it was all based on the reality. I mean, right down to where Michael Bates did that spit thing. That was all based on what happened, you know. So, and they gave me one opportunity, I think, in about the 8th series, to show the other side of the character, when a coconut hit him on the head, and he became very tough, and had the machine gun, and they said, "Come on, Gloria." He said, "I'm not Gloria. I'm a bombardier in the British Army." Bang, 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 bang. And it was wonderful. It was great fun. But no, I'm working with Winter, because I did, in between those things, we did pantomimes, summer seasons, tours. We did also, I mean, we were doing one tour, Windsor and I, when we were playing Bournemouth, and we had to get to Scotland over the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to drive, and Windsor would navigate. And he said, "Can we go to the B roads to Scotland?" He said, "Because they're much more interesting." He said, "And I love to watch birds, you know, the feathery kind." And so, all right, like an idiot, yeah. So we're driving up Scotland, took forever, right? Driving through these little tiny villages. And he said, "If you see in one of these villages a bank, can we stop? I need to get some money."
Right.
And so we drive past, and there's a little shop with a little bank sign outside it. On the side. So I stopped, and it was a one-man show, right? And he said, "Oh, Windsor Dave, Melvyn Hayes, come in." He locked the front door, closed the front door, and said, "Do come through, come and have a cup of tea. You must be exhausted driving." And so the next half an hour, he made tea, he brought out cakes, and he knew every line practically from the series. He knew our background backwards. And he said, "Can I have your autographs?" And we signed his autographs. And then I said, "We must go. We've got a long journey to go. We've got to get up to Scotland." And he said, "Oh, I nearly forgot the reason we came in here." He said, "I just need to draw out some cash. Can I have 50 quid? And the guy said, "Yes, of course." 50 quid, of course, no problem, he said. And there was a pause. And this is true, as I swear. Mm-hmm. He said, "Mr. Davis, do you have any means of identification?" We spent half an hour with the man. That's so. Have you got any ID? He said. And he said, "Oh, no, not really, no." Oh. I think he eventually did give him the 50 quid.
Yeah.
Well, that was lovely. It just shows you the show public. I mean, we were in a shop once, and a guy came up to Windsor Davis and said, "You're Frank Windsor." So Windsor Davis said, "That's right, yeah, I'm Frank Windsor." He said, "Who's the little guy over there?" So Windsor said, "That's Jimmy Cagney." Jimmy gone. He called across to his wife and said, "It's Frank Windsor and Jimmy Cagney." But you get, I mean, I walk the dog. I live on the island of Wight, Isle of Wight, and I walk my dog every day. And every day I get stopped by somebody saying to me, "Oh, that's Alexa. She turns herself on." Sorry, did you hear that? You know those Alexa machines?
Oh, yeah.
You know, yeah, it just turns itself on for some reason. Sorry. What I was saying, so I would walk along the street and somebody would stop me and say, "I'm from the local WI, or I'm from the local golf club. We usually have a guest speaker. They can do, an hour or two. They said, we can't afford to pay anything, but there will be a cup of tea. What do you say?" And I usually reply, "I'd rather have my eyes burnt out with a hot poker." And there's a pause and they say, "Is that a no?" Because, why, because you're on television or something, are you expected to open garden plates and do talks? I wouldn't do it because all my kids at school, I said, I get asked to do a prize giving. I said, no, because I can't turn up in a very smart suit and dinner suit, next day go in jeans and sweatshirts and pick up the kids.
Yeah.
I can't do that. But anyway, that's our business. It's a fun business.
So, back to the voice acting. How did you get into that, and how is it different to normal acting? Do you get you used to get a script, but do you get to see the scenes that you're voicing?
No, they do the voices before. Like for example, I did Skeleton, text but no muscles. That was mine.
I do hope that boy is all right.
Write out a ransom note to the boy's mother.
Dear Mum, we've got your boy, and we're going to do nasty things to him unless you pay us lots of money. Tex wants to buy a ranch. I need a pair of slippers. And Bolt needs brain surgery.
In Super Ted. And I got that after we'd been at the Palladium. I did a 15-week season at the Palladium with Windsor in pantomime. And Victor Spinetti was in the show. And his cousin was Mike Young, who created Super Ted.
All right.
And he said, could you do the voice of Super Ted, of Skeleton? Funny enough, about a couple of years ago, Mike Young did an interview. He's now runs his own television company in the States, in LA. And there was an article in the British newspaper saying after 25 years, they're going to remake Super Ted. They want Melvyn Hayes and Derek Griffiths, who played Super Ted, to redo the voices because the others are all dead. That was 4 years ago. I'm still waiting.
Oh, shame.
But no, I know. But it's no taken. I did a radio show years ago called That Reminds Me, where you do a chat in a theatre and they pick out the best half an hour. And the director of it, a woman, she said to me, this was 2002, she said, would you like to do my other show? And I said, yes, what's your other show? And she said, Just a Minute. And I said, oh, I would love to do that. I think it's one of my favourite shows, Just a Minute, with Nicholas Parsons. And she said, right, she sent me a postcard, which I've got pinned up on my wall, saying, look forward to seeing you on Just a Minute. Thanks for the last show. Look forward to seeing you. And that was 16 years ago, and I still haven't heard. So you think I should stop waiting?
Probably, yeah. You're still working in a lot of things at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah, I've just done this pilot for a film on the island, where I play an 86-year-old woman who's dying of dementia or Alzheimer's. And if you go on to, Facebook, and put in This Is Me, because that's the title of it, This Is Me, romantic drama, in Facebook. It shows you, we shot the pilot, and it had, I don't understand what it means, I think it's had over 100,000 hits.
Oh, right.
Now, does that mean 100,000 people have seen it?
Yes, yeah.
What they're doing is funding, which I've never been involved before, where they're asking Joe Public to invest in it. 10% of it or something like that was going to go to the Alzheimer's charity. So, I don't know, we shot that in June or July, over a weekend, and the idea is to start shooting about September, October. It's wonderful for me, to living on the island itself, and just go to work I mean, what they did, the producer rented a house which he used for the cast and the crew to stay in, and filmed in the house as well.
Oh yeah.
Besides filming in the winter garden, etc., etc. But that's worth looking at. I think it's different. It's very, very different. So we'll see. I don't know. I mean, I've got a voiceover agent who I think spoke to me about 5 years ago. So I have my faith in that. But no, and what happens, how it's changed that business is when I started, your agent would phone you up and say, John Smith, Bill Bloggs, director, would you like to go to TV Centre, have a chat, have a drink, have some lunch, to discuss a film. Now, what happens is, they say we have to tick boxes. You never get to see anybody. Nobody else to see them. Your name is put up in a box, like, are you white, black, green, or pink? Are you over 15 foot tall? And all this sort of stuff, right? And you never, ever hear. I mean, and then your name put up, and you never hear. I mean, I had one last year. Do you know the program, what is it? Marigold Hotel, the Royal Marigold Hotel.
Oh, yes.
Well, I was asked, and I spent an hour with the producers discussing, and they said, if we had to, this was in the summer, a couple of ago as well, if we had to choose, we choose you now, but we have to wait until the final people see how they all match up. And about a couple of months later, I got this phone call saying, right, we're very interested in you, Melvyn. We'd love to use you. Everybody wants you to do it. So would you keep yourself free for the month of September? Go and have all the injections. Get all your injections done. There's a lot, and some of them are very powerful injections because where you're going. And you're our first reserve. I said, you're our first reserve. I said, you think I'm going to get myself stuffed with injections? I said, buy a phone for a month and suddenly say to my wife, darling, I'm going to go tomorrow to India. I won't be long. I think I'll be about a month or so. I said, no. I said, I don't think I've reached the point yet of sitting on the sort of reserve bed yet. And then I did, and then it came back, and I did the motorhome thing. 5 celebrities go motorhoming. That was, where are we now? That was last year, wasn't it? Yes. Was it last year? Yeah. And we went to, there was myself, and Don Warrington, Leslie Phillips, not Leslie Phillips, no, Leslie, what's her name? Leslie Joseph. And we did a caravan thing across Wales, and across Scotland, and that was great fun. That was wonderful to do. And then this is our game, and then it's been shown 4 episodes of it 3 times since. I said to my aunt, oh, that's good, isn't it? She said, no. I said, why not? She said, because it's called a documentary, and you don't get repeat fees for a documentary. So there you go. But anyway, sorry, anything else you want to ask me?
Oh, do you still keep in touch with people like Windsor Davis at all?
Do you know I haven't? I mean, Windsor, bless him, he's got to be about 88 now. And I haven't spoken to him for donkey's years. I mean, like, people like Cliff I bump into in, like, charities you're doing. The last time I met him was at Buckingham Palace.
Right.
And I'm so pleased that the case came his way because, I mean, I've never seen such a changed man. I mean, he looked different.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always said that, I remember Cliff when he looked older than he does now.
Yeah.
But he doesn't. He's now starting to really look his age. And it's like, how many years? 2 or 3 years it's been since it happened.
Yeah.
But, anyway, I suppose, because so many have come out because of it, and etc. You don't know, do you? I mean, I've worked with people like, I've worked with Jimmy Savile. I've worked with, I'm just looking, what was it? Rolf Harris. And I did pantomime with him. I did television with him.
Yeah.
Never saw any of that. Never saw any of that. Jimmy Savile, I did Jim Will Fix It. A little girl who wanted to be a princess, and I buttoned some pantomime playing opposite her in this thing. But I never saw any of that at all.
No.
No. So, you know, it's a funny old world. I mean, anyway.
What was Jimmy like with?
Jimmy Savile? Well, I mean, didn't see much of him on the show, but about a year later, Windsor Davis and I were invited to BBC Radio. They have their annual dinner, and they have a long dinner with all the DJs, and they have microphones, and they do all their stories and things, and then they edit it all up. But they have a couple of guests come in disguise, and they have to guess who they are. Well, Windsor and I came as Father Christmas and his elf, right? And as soon as we walked in, they said, "Oh, it's Windsor Davis, Snow and Haze." So we sat down, and I was next to Jimmy on one side, and Windsor was on the other side of him. The first thing he said to me was, "Oh, you made plenty of money," he said, "because that's what it's all about." Which put me off him. And I didn't spend much time to it. Oh, and then another thing he said, I wear these silly hats, you know, he said, baby bonnets and things. He said, people think I'm stupid. He said, but I rolled up the other day in my, you know, Rolls Royce at the garage, and there was a couple with a pram on top of his car and his luggage on the outside, and I had my funny hat on, and the guy called up and said, "Look, Jimmy Savile, the idiot, look at him." And I said, "Who's the idiot, son? Look at my car and look at yours." So that wasn't very nice. At least the story he told me, which was down to, you know. So I don't know.
Well,
Never got to know the man.
I heard that with Stoke Mandeville Hospital that he's got a room there and he just stays there for free.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah. I think he was into necrophilia at Broadmoor. Oh, yeah, Keith Broadmoor, I think. I mean, people must have known. Surely, I don't know. We'll never know. Well, unless somebody writes the book. There you are, that's your next book.
Next book, yeah.
Next book. My memories of Jimmy.